Hello viewers, in today's video I will talk about Austin-Kartush Classification of Ossiculoplasty. I know that sounds like a mouthful. However, I'll try to keep it very simple while not compromising with the that is the problem with live stream. I would have definitely kept that out if it was an edited video, but with live streams I can't keep even the sneezes out. So let's go back to it. I will be talking about the Austin-Kartush classification of ossiculoplasty. I will try to describe it in a very simple manner that everyone can understand, but I will not compromise with the accuracy to the best of my knowledge. Now the word Austin-Kartush ossiculoplasty sounds very difficult to understand, so we will simplify it. We'll start from a very basic level. How are we hearing? We are hearing with the help of our ears. We have two ears, one on each side. These ears of ours, they are divided into three parts: the outer part, the middle part, and the inner part. Now I have a picture of the ear behind me. I'll move aside to show you. That's the ear. So this part is our pinna. Okay, this pinna here is not the only part of the ear. Sound goes through the hole in the pinna or the external auditory meatus into the canal. It hits the eardrum, which is known as tympanic membrane, and then the tympanic membrane vibrates, and then you can see some small ossicles there. Can you see the ossicles behind me? I am trying to point. Yeah, these are the small ossicles. Why are they called ossicles? Because they are very small bones. So they are not even bones. We can't call them, they are so small that we can't call them bones. We are calling them ossicles. 3 in number: malleus, incus, and stapes. Stapes, in fact, is the smallest bone in the human body. Is very frequently asked in quiz contests. And if you have good general knowledge, you will know the smallest bone in the human body is stapes. We've read this in biology in school. What we haven't read in biology in school, and which really confuses many medical students, is to imagine the middle ear. Now, if you look at the middle ear there, and there are videos on YouTube where somebody is standing inside the middle ear. Believe me, if I could have such animation skills, I would be standing inside the middle ear also. However, you can see the middle ear behind me, right there. That's the middle ear, this area. This area is the middle ear. If you imagine the middle ear to be a room, then it has 6 walls: roof, floor, and the 4 walls. Since it is medicine, we have to use more difficult words. We can't just say 4 walls, roof, and floor. We have to describe the 4 walls also in medical terms. Now, before I lose you, I want to tell you that the words may sound difficult, but they convey a very simple truth. So you have to name the direction of the walls: a wall to the front, a wall to the back, a wall to either side. But since it is to either side, and you have to clearly demarcate which one is to the front and which one is to the back, these walls have their own names. So you have the anterior wall, the posterior wall, the medial wall, and the lateral wall. I know, difficult. Let's understand. Anterior means towards the front, posterior means towards the back, medial means towards the midline of the body, and lateral means to away from the midline of the body. So with a simple example, look at our nose. Our nose is more to the front compared to the ear. So nose is more anterior than the ear. Ear is more posterior than the nose, more to the back. Nose is more towards the midline than the ear, so nose is more medial than the ear, and ear is more lateral, more towards the outside. So lateral means more more away from the midline. Medial means more towards the midline, anterior means towards the front, posterior means towards the back. So these are the 6 walls of the middle ear: anterior wall, posterior wall, medial wall, lateral wall, roof, and floor. The main content, it can be argued, of the middle ear are the 3 ossicles: malleus, incus, and stapes. Malleus is towards the outside, then we have incus, and then there is stapes. These ossicles play a very important role not just in perception of sound but also in amplification of sound, and they also play a small role in protecting the inner ear from noise trauma, that is from loud sounds. These roles can be discussed in detail in a different video. In this particular video, we will only talk about the classification of ossiculoplasty. Now, the term ossiculoplasty, what does it mean? Any plasty, any surgical procedure with the word plasty means reconstruction. Okay, so here we are trying to reconstruct the ossicles. Why are we trying to reconstruct the ossicles? There must be some defect in the ossicles. There must be some defect in the ossicular chain. Why am I calling it chain? Because these ossicles are connected to each other like a chain. Malleus, then incus, and then stapes. If there is any defect in the chain, that defect may need to be reconstructed, which is called ossiculoplasty as a surgical procedure. Now, before we classify ossiculoplasty, we need to know what are the different types of defects that can happen which need correction. And effectively, these defects in the ossicular chain were first classified by British otologist David John Austin in 1971. His classification was very simple, and it had a simple common factor. He gave 4 classes of ossicular chain defects, and he termed them A, B, C, D. The common factor in A, B, C, D in Austin's classification, not Austin-Kartush. In Austin's classification of ossiculoplasty, the common factor was incus was absent in all 4. Incus, the ossicle in the middle, was absent in all 4. Why is incus the first ossicle to be necrosed? Because incus has tenuous blood supply. That is, its blood supply is not robust. It is, in fact, especially in the long process of incus, the blood supply is through diffusion and through perforators. It is not from a direct arterial supply. Now, questions can be asked regarding the blood supply of the middle ear. So, you have the anterior tympanic artery, you have the inferior tympanic artery, you have the caroticotympanic arteries. That makes it complicated. We are not going to talk about blood supply in detail in this video. If you want me to talk about blood supply of middle ear in detail, I can make a different video. So, let's come back to the ossicular chain defects. In Austin's classification, in all 4 A, B, C, D, incus was absent. So, we are left with malleus and stapes. So, in Austin's classification A, malleus and stapes both are present. It is called M plus S plus. Malleus present, stapes present. In Austin's classification B, malleus is present, stapes is lost. M plus S minus. So, M plus S plus A, M plus S minus B. C is M minus S plus, that is, malleus is absent, stapes is present. By stapes, we are specifically talking about stapes suprastructure, and we have the final Austin, that is D, where you have the malleus and stapes absent, M minus S minus. So, very simple. We are starting with M plus S plus, and we are ending with M minus S minus. That is, malleus present, stapes present in A, both malleus and stapes absent in D. When we talk about stapes, we have to assume we are talking about stapes suprastructure. Now, the confusion is always between Austin B and Austin C, whether malleus is more liable to damage or stapes. So, you have to understand this. Incus long process is the part which is the most delicate structure in the ossicular chain, delicate in terms that it gets necrosed first, and this part is connected to stapes. So, it is not connected to the malleus. So, if incus gets damaged, the next logical thing to get damaged is the suprastructure of stapes, not malleus, because that is not how it is connected. If you look at the picture behind me, you can see that this is the picture. The incus is connected to the stapes. Alright. So, if long process of incus is the first one to go, the next one to go will be the suprastructure of stapes, that is S. So, M plus S plus, M plus S minus, M minus S plus, and then M minus S minus. That is Austin's classification. He gave 4 classes. Again, just to repeat, Austin classification A was malleus, stapes both present. Austin B was malleus present, stapes suprastructure absent. Austin C was malleus absent, stapes suprastructure present, which is much less common. And Austin D was both malleus and stapes superstructure absent. Now, this was the Austin's classification. In 1994, American otologist Dr. Jack M. Kartush added 3 more categories to this classification. What were they? He added a class of O. Some people call it 0 also. O in Austin O that was added by Dr. Kartush just stated that all the 3 ossicles are intact. Malleus, incus and stapes. So in Austin-Kartush classification, you have a category where all 3 ossicles are intact. The ossicular chain itself is intact. However, in Austin's classification, incus is absent in all 4 classes. So in Austin-Kartush classification, the modifications were 3 classes. The first modification was a class O, where all 3 ossicles were present. Then there was another class called E, where the ossicular head was fixed, ossicular head fixation, that is class E, and class F, that is stapes fixation. By stapes, you are obviously talking about footplate of stapes. So Dr. Jack M. Kartush in 1994 added 3 new classes to Austin's existing classification of ossiculoplasty. Class O, where all 3 ossicles are intact, class E, where ossicular head is fixed, and class F, where the stapes footplate is fixed. When you take Austin's classification and Kartush's modification together, it becomes Austin-Kartush classification, which is very frequently asked in ENT postgraduate exams, and sometimes MBBS students can also be asked this question. So you have class O, where in summary, if you just talk about the Austin-Kartush classification, I'll try to show you a picture of it so that you can understand. Let me try to show you a picture, bear with me. This is the picture. So class O is where you have an intact ossicular chain, M plus, I plus, S plus. Class A is where malleus is there, stapes is there, incus is not there. Class B is where malleus is there, incus is not there, stapes is not there. Class C is where malleus is not there, incus is not there, but stapes is there. And class D is where malleus, incus and stapes superstructure, all of them are not there. Class E is where there is ossicular head fixation. Of the ossicular chain, only one structure has a head, that is malleus. And class F is stapes fixation, more specifically footplate or stapes fixation. So that was my 2 cents about Austin-Kartush classification of ossiculoplasty. I hope this will help you remember it. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching this. Take care. Bye bye. And as always, please don't forget to be awesome.